1997, youth radio station YFM hit the airwaves for the very first time. Mweti Tsiki was 14 years old, and he was hooked.
I just got so drawn in by this person that comes on air, just kind of speaks, becomes very opinionated, has people who agree or disagree with them, or whatever the case may be, sound absolutely cool, play the hottest music ever, with the greatest amount of authority, and like just be the superstar. And I thought, damn, this is something that I think I can do.
Among the other stations that Mweti listened to in his youth, Metro FM and community radio station Josie FM.
And I remember I took a trip down there when I was in grade 11, just to get a feel of what it's like to be in a radio studio. And I bumped into a DJ then, DJ Mkedeza, who is still on air and still works there. And he was busy with his radio show. He didn't really have that much time for me. And then another gentleman who was an engineer just came out and he said, you know, what can I do for you? And I said, listen, I just want to learn about radio because I want to be in radio. And he said, my man, you got a voice and a half. You got a hell of a voice. Come into my studio.
And just like that, Mweti recorded his first voiceover.
They didn't pay me. I don't mind not being paid because it was an introduction into a very, very fascinating world and a very lucrative, industry if you are really good at what you do.
Buoyed by his successful trip to Josie FM, then 16-year-old Mweti made the same trip to SABC studios in Randburg, where he learned that he would need to study at Boston Media House if he was serious about a career in radio.
My mom was open to the idea, and my dad was also open to the idea. But for them it was more like, listen, if you're going to do this thing, you better make it work, because the courses are expensive and it's like a 60 grand investment for 3 years. You can't mess this up, right?
And to help earn his keep, Mweti had also begun mixing.
I learned how to DJ when I was 18. I was still in matric. One of my classmates, John Withers, he lived across the road. He had turntables because his parents were caring enough. But of course, growing up in Dube, Soweto, also exposed me to other guys who wanted to also be DJs just like me. And I had a couple of friends who wanted to do the same thing, so we would huddle together at someone's house and he would have like the one turntable and then the other guy would have the mixer and then the other guy would have the other turntable and we'd connect it all and just, and then we started playing together. And from then we started, taking gigs like weddings and funerals and tombstone unveilings and 21st birthdays and 16th, like all types of, parties around the hood. We just wanted to kind of make it happen, and we would take gigs for like $500, for $400, and you're there from 6 in the evening till 6 in the morning. And sometimes you wouldn't even get your balance.
And while he learned the harsh realities of being a club DJ at night, during the day Mweti immersed himself in the world of radio DJing as he began his first semester at Boston House College.
I didn't want to leave the studio, and obviously we had timetables, everybody has like an hour or something like that. So it was always a mission for me to get out of there because I didn't want to get out of there. And, you would picture yourself working in a commercial radio station one day, sitting in there, having the glass window there and people waving. And it was just that whole thing. And it's almost when you can touch it that you realize just how close you are to this goal and this dream that you have.
After his 3-year course, Mweti set about making that dream a reality.
So right at the end of my 3rd year, I took my portfolio and I went to YFM. A couple of days later, I got a phone call from the program manager then, Bondo Nduli, saying, listen, dude, you need to come in for an interview. So I went through. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Got there, Bondo takes out my demo, he plays it, and he walks out the office. So I'm thinking, okay, what does this mean? Am I not going to get critiqued? Is he going to shred my stuff to pieces? He comes back and he says, all right, well, since you're free, you start tonight. And that was that. It was midnight, 21st of December 2005, where I had my first commercial radio show on YFM.
Stay with us after the break.
I just felt that the conversation was too limiting because it's just all about music. And I come from a background where in radio you talk about everything.
When Mo Flava, The Close-Up, continues. In 2005, Mweti Tsiki landed his dream job on YFM. Now at 21, he was working alongside and even in place of some of the DJs he'd idolized as a teenager.
I was starstruck to some degree, but because I was in a professional environment, I had to maintain, some level of composure, because you don't want to come across as a groupie to somebody you don't know. They might take you as just that.
And what better way to blend in than to have your own DJ pseudonym?
Some of my schoolmates would be like, Mo Money, Mo Problems, Mo Women. And I think somewhere along the line, there must have been a flavor that got thrown in there. And then it just kind of like, I just said, okay, well, that sounds cool. I can't exactly go on radio as Mweti Tsiki, because this is not a talk station. This is a cool, hip radio station. This is YFM. This is like the biggest thing ever.
And while Mo Flava tried hard not to be a groupie, it appears he had a few groupies of his own.
I got a lot of female attention. And I mean, at the time, I wasn't on television yet. But the popularity was very notable. And I felt like I was popular. And to have that kind of popularity from a graveyard slot is just like, what? You know what I mean?
Okay, we're going to take some phone calls right now.
You first accept the fact that there are girls who are going to, have interest in you, and they listen to you, and they want to get to know you, and they're always calling in off air. And then you develop those kinds of relationships with people. And by the time you realize that you have quite an affinity with